Hey, friends, I'm Scott Hanselman, and it's Azure Friday. I'm here with Rocky Tejraj. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Scott?
I am very excited, and I'm always excited to have a friend from Azure Cosmos DB come on Azure Friday because you always bring me wonderful new features that I can implement right after the show. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you for having me in the show. As you mentioned, Scott, today I'm here to demonstrate a couple of cost optimization features such as dynamic scaling and binary encoding to make Cosmos DB even more cost efficient. Let's begin with dynamic scaling. Dynamic scaling is an extension to autoscale provision throughput. In dynamic scaling mode, the user scales the throughput based on the workloads and not based on the maximum hottest partition. In other words, the scaling happens based on every region and every partition's usage. Whereas in the autoscale provision throughput, which is the older version, the scaling happens based on the most active partition. So which can cause unnecessary scale ups and it can also lead to higher charges for non-uniform workloads. So let's understand this further with a demo of a real world scenario. We have a Contoso customer having a multi-tenant application with primary region in West US and Central US. This customer has a autoscale workload container, Contoso Container 1, with a provision throughput of 50,000 RUs, and it has 5 physical partitions, which each partition scaling between 1,000 RUs and 10,000 RUs, because that is the min autoscale RU and the max autoscale RUs. So the 50,000 RUs get distributed across the 5 physical partitions. So this container has the tenant ID as the partition key, and also you can see that the West US is the primary region, which is predominantly configured for reads and writes, and the Central US is configured for disaster recovery or high availability. So we have created another account as well with the same configuration, but with dynamic scaling disabled, so that we are able to compare what is the differences and the optimizations that we could get from dynamic scaling. I have loaded same data sets in both the containers, and I have just started the read workloads against both these containers just few hours back, so that we can see some real-time metrics to understand the optimizations we are trying to get from dynamic scaling. So if you see here, Scott, I have one of the partitions scaling at 100% and which is consuming around 10,000 RUs, which is the max autoscale RUs, and all the other 9 partitions, that is 4 from the primary region and 5 from the secondary region, are also getting scaled based on this active partition, which is evident from our provision throughput. If you could see here, both the primary and secondary region is scaled to 50,000 RUs. So the total RUs consumed in autoscale mode for this account is 100,000 RUs.
If I look at that previous graph there, is it correct that it is not very balanced? You have the number 7, the blue one, at 100%. Number 8 is just hanging out at 15%. That is an unbalanced workload. Is that correct reading of the graph?
Exactly. Exactly. This is the non-uniformity we are seeing in the workloads. As you rightly called out and precisely called out, this is causing unnecessary scale-ups. Because of this hot partition, all the 9 partitions are getting scaled to the same maximum hottest partition, which is costing the customer 100,000 RUs when it could be much more optimal, which we need to address it. So now let's look at the metrics that is emitted by the dynamic scaling enabled account. So we have the same metric, normalized RU consumption. If you see here, it is showing similar spiking because the same workloads have been loaded and read from both the containers. We have introduced a new metric, Scott, which is called autoscaled RU as part of this feature. What this metric does is it provides the RU consumption at each partition and each region level. The advantage of that is customer can precisely see the benefit they are getting from this feature. And this metric is right now emitted only for dynamic scaling enabled accounts. And if you, yeah, you had a question?
No, I'm just absorbing. I'm seeing dramatic differences in the RUs that have been provisioned. And you
Yes.
can see immediately that the West US has got a lot more demand. So its RUs are partitioned differently. It's more, it's it's not balanced. It's not equal. It is appropriate per
Mhm.
region, if I'm reading these correctly.
Yes, because the West US is predominantly the primary region for reads and writes where my major traffic is going. And my secondary region is predominantly configured for disaster recovery and high availability. And that's why you're seeing that it is just consuming the min RU, which is 5K RUs consistently. And it's distributed across the 5 partitions, so 1K each.
Very cool.
And if you Yeah. If you see the provision throughput in this scenario, you see that the primary region is scaled to 30,000 RUs per second, and the secondary region is just using the min RUs, which is 5,000 RUs. So the total RUs consumed is 35,000 RUs, which is a reduction of 65,000 RUs in comparison to the auto scale mode, which is approximately 65% savings for the customer in this scenario, Scott.
And that's cost savings, but the performance is going to be as good or better. So you're getting like the best of all worlds. It's going to cost you less and it's going to feel better for the customer.
So the performance is going to be exactly the same, but the cost is
Mm,
going to be much more optimal with this new
brilliant.
feature.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And we have also seen that we have implemented this for our customers successfully in the public preview. And we have seen customers getting benefits anywhere around 15 to 70%. If you could see the customer use cases, they themselves have commented on it that there are savings around 60% for multiple customers. And there are savings in the range of 15% as well, depending on the uniformity of the workloads. Highly
I love that
non-uniform
quote right
workloads,
there
yes.
that says the introduction of dynamic scaling couldn't have come at a better time. That's a great
Yeah.
series of quotes there.
Yeah, we got very good accolades from customers on this feature. And I would also want to call one more thing, Scott. Apart from the cost savings, this feature also helps us in other ways. Like this helps us to reduce the impact of suboptimal partition keys because in this scenario, only the hottest partition scales to the maximum. Unlike the traditional auto scale where all the partitions used to scale to the maximum. So the impact is reduced because of this feature. And also adding secondary region has become even more cost efficient because now only the regions scale independently and not on the hottest partition. So getting the 99.99% high availability has become much more easier at an optimal cost. So these are some quick benefits which we get from dynamic scaling apart from the cost benefit. So having understood in high level what this feature is doing, let's see how to get started. So this feature is coming with goodness. It is auto-enabled for all the accounts, new accounts that are created after 25th September 2024. But any account that is created prior to that, we'll have to explicitly go and enable it. So that can be done either using the portal, the Azure portal, or we can do it in a programmatic way. I'll quickly show you how to do it in the Azure portal. So if you see the features blade here, we can just come here and turn on this dynamic scaling per region, per partition auto scale, which helps us to get instant benefits in the next hourly billing cycle. So it just takes few minutes to turn on, Scott. And once that is done, we see the changes reflected.
Very cool.
Yeah. So to get additional details of how to monitor this, what are the other use cases where it would be useful, and also to see what are the other monitoring related scenarios we have, we can go through this public documentation as well as the blog post available for this.
All right. So that's dynamic auto scale. That's going to give me great experience, the great performance that I'm already used to, and the throughput that my customers are used to on Azure Cosmos DB with huge, huge cost improvements. But also, I understand that binary encoding is another improvement that is going to change the size of my data and how it's encoding. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So now let's move on to binary encoding for NoSQL API. Before getting into the demo, let's have a quick understanding of what's binary encoding and how does it help. Binary encoding is about converting a JSON text into a compact binary representation. And how does it help? Text data requires delimiters, escape characters, and additional formatting to be able to structure and separate the data values. All these attribute to additional storage overhead as well as it requires additional parsing, which is quite performance intensive and storage intensive. Binary encoding, on the other hand, eliminates the need for such special characters or delimiters because we know the exact position and size of a value, and there is no extra characters that are needed. So, this helps us to reduce the storage overhead and also it helps to eliminate any additional parsing that is needed on road. So, having understood the differences on what is binary encoding and how it is helpful on comparison to text, let's move on to a quick demo. So, I've created two accounts, one with binary encoding not enabled, another with binary encoding enabled. so that we can see the exact differences. Same data sets have been loaded in both the database account containers. And if you could see, I have a sample JSON, which I just want to show. So this is a nested object within the JSON, and this is a larger document which I've used, greater than 1 MB for my example scenario. So this container has 30K documents, and I just want to show what is the storage size when a container has no binary encoding versus it has binary encoding enabled. So let's see the real-time metrics that is getting emitted by the Azure Monitor. So as I mentioned, for this demo without binary encoding account, we have documents of 30K loaded. And if you see the storage or the physical partition size, it is 40 gigabyte. And looking at the same data set on a binary encoded container, you can see that I have 30K documents again, but the storage here is 20 gigabyte. So we can see a 50% compression in the storage because of binary encoding being enabled.
Wow, wow. And do
Yeah.
I see it differently when I can interact with the API? I still get back the same things when I use the Azure Cosmos DB SDK. This is simply a back-end improvement and not something that I, as a developer, need to change.
Yeah, exactly. You're completely right.
Fantastic.
So
Everybody
there
should
are,
have this, right? Everyone should turn this on.
yeah, so that's why we are making it implicitly enabled for all the new containers for NoSQL API. And all the existing containers would be rolled out in the next 1 year or so. And the
Wow.
customers need not have to do anything in this process. And there is no kind of database interruptions during this conversion. So it's all done by Cosmos DB internally to give these benefits to the customer.
See, just when I think Cosmos DB can't get any better, like I've been having Cosmos DB people on and Kirill and all the friends on Cosmos on Azure Friday for years, and it's like 10%, 20%, 50%, 70%, and it just keeps getting better. And for something like this, combined with the power of autoscale to bring the same perf, better prices, and lower on disk, and then thereby storage costs. I just wonder what you come up with next that's going to be so much better to make Cosmos DB better for customers. It's just amazing.
Yeah, certainly, Scott. Like we are committed towards continuous improvements to each and every existing feature so that customers can get an ongoing benefit out of it.
Okay, so you said that these are going to be turned on implicitly for all new collections and eventually be rolled out to everyone. So that's going to happen, and you're going to get that benefit automatically with no downtime. And then auto scaling, you can go and learn about that now and enable that if you choose on your workloads.
Yes, and autoscale is also enabled by default for all the new accounts. For older accounts before September 25th, 2024, we have to explicitly go and enable it. And Scott, as you mentioned in the beginning, apart from the example we saw, we see customers saving anywhere around 15 to 70% on the storage compression, depending on the type and size of the documents and the number of nested objects present in the container. So having understood what storage benefits customers could get, let's move on the query optimizations that can come out of binary encoding with a quick demo. So if you have a look at my screen, we are just taking an average of array length of a nested object collection item, and we are trying to run the query against both the containers, having binary encoding enabled and disabled, and wanting to see the outcome or the performance in terms of request charge and also the document load time. So if you could see here, the request start for without VE enabled, without BE account, we are able to see 1600 is the RUs that are consumed. And if you could see the document load time, it is around 1 second, that is 1080 milliseconds. If we have the same thing checked in the binary encoding enabled account, you can see that the RUs consumed for the same query with the same data set is 449 RUs, and the document load time is just 0.2 seconds.
Wow. So
which is
if I'm reading that correctly, it's like 8 or 9 times faster. It's double it's a half of the size. Like there's only good things here. Like binary encoding is going to be one of the biggest improvements for everybody who's using Cosmos DB, and they're all going to get it for free.
Yeah, and it one caveat here is it depends on the type and the volume of the documents and the complexity of the queries that is used. So we can see very lesser improvement if the query is not that complex and we do not have any nested objects in the query. It can turn out to be a very simple or small difference. But if it is a bigger query with lot of nested queries in it, then you can see a huge optimization, even higher than this. So
That
it
makes
is
a
a
lot of
case.
sense. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. So it's those nested objects, those deep graphs, they're going to see a benefit, and the larger, flatter ones will see less benefit.
Exactly. So these were the two demos which I wanted to show, one on the storage optimization and other on the query optimization that binary encoding brings in. So as we just called out, binary encoding feature is rolled out for NoSQL API, and all the new containers have this enabled by default, and the existing containers will get converted automatically by the Cosmos DB team over the course of next 1 year.
Wow, wow. So everyone's going to get this improvement. It's going to roll out slowly. By the end of it all done, everyone's going to have smaller databases, better performance, lower RUs, and you combine that with dynamic auto scale, just things keep getting better in Cosmos DB world.
You have summed it very well.
Very, very exciting. Well, thank you so much for sharing these wonderful optimizations, and congratulations to the team and everyone who worked on these. Cosmos DB just keeps getting better.
Thank you, Scott. And we are very excited for the customers to take advantage of these features and get even better cost and performance with Cosmos DB. Wishing them all luck.
Fantastic. I'm learning all about the great new features in Azure Cosmos DB today on Azure Friday.